the Capital Program. Call this meeting of the Capital Program Committee to order, January 22nd, a little bit after 2 p.m. Get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. Not sure who's who on who said what. So on the motion, Jill,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Brooke,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Christie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. We're here today to finalize our report and recommendations, 99%. Peter might get in a little more detail. There's one appendix outstanding. We're waiting just for a little bit more information, and there may be some modification to footnotes. Other than that, it's largely complete. A draft of the draft was circulated of the narrative body last week. We had some noticing issues. We weren't able to meet. We're here today to review. I believe Peter passed out hard copy, which is very closely based on the draft text. And the appendices are based upon the preliminary report that we sent to the select board and the finance committee. So other than form and formatting, the material remains the same. With that, I'll hand the presentation or discussion over to the report writing work group, which is Peter and Howard, and with support of Sue. Okay, thanks, guys.
Want me to take the gist of it, Howard? Yeah. Okay, so I mean, my first year on the report group, I believe same with Howard, but process remains the same, as Stephen said. You know, a lot of the bulk information is carried over year to year, while we go and kind of specify and tailor, make the appendixes based on current year requests. Same thing with totals for, you know, departmental requests, interdepartmental total, the general fund and enterprise fund, and as well as the sources of funding. So the majority of it comes down to, you know, spot checking for consistency between requests that we've gone through, which Sue is integral to keeping track of, pulling the information from Plum into kind of a very raw report, and then trying to go through finance and finalize and format that all into Appendix A, which then we feed into the body of the report on page, I believe it's 2 and 3, perhaps, or 3 and 4, with interdepartmental totals, general fund totals, enterprise totals, and then a breakdown of funding totals. There's some other information that is dynamic year to year, ratepayer impacts, taxpayer impacts, and then some minor adjustments we make to kind of the narrative body of the report. But I think since the beginning of this report, which it's probably in the 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th year at this point, that information has been very well defined and refined. So not much changes there. In terms of responsibilities, I handled a lot of the formatting, consistency, kind of quality control checking. So if anybody, you know, finds anything in there, shoot it my way, see what we can do about it. But for the most part, it should be as accurate and consistent as can be for our purposes and for FinCom and select board purposes. And Howard did a lot of the legwork of tracking the requests and a lot of the meat to the individual requests, meeting to meeting throughout the year, noting kind of footnotes that were material and relevant to the individual requests that might provide insight to the average taxpayer or stakeholder that would otherwise want to use the report or familiarize themselves with requests that have come before us, wherein that information was not captured in the general description of the requests as they're included and pulled from Plum in Appendix A. So that's a long way to say, new request, same report, a lot of work goes into it. You guys, a lot of work in this room, a lot of work, Sue, especially. I mean, talk about myself and Howard, but Sue, obviously you do so much to help get all this information where it needs to go from day one till day now through day end of this year's, Capcom responsibilities. And I know it can be tough with open meeting laws and everything having to go through you and keeping everything organized. So we really do appreciate that. And being a part of the work group makes me realize how difficult it truly is, and how many things get kind of lost and mixed and reworked. So I know it's a time-consuming process, but we thoroughly appreciate all of the diligence and patience. Howard, floor is yours.
Okay, so, I during all of our meetings had kept a consolidation of comments in different places, and then, if you recall, I had put them together for our meeting, maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago, and then Stephen had touched it up, and then so I took that hybrid version of the footnotes and edited them, put them back in here into the document, and then we split those footnotes into 2 sets, A's and B's, for Appendix A and for Appendix B. And the Appendix A was related to general comments about each of the items that we wanted to further elaborate on. And the ones that are attached to Appendix B are financial related, numbers related, quantity related. And so that's now in there as well. And we may be missing comments, so that would be helpful. If you remember something that I didn't remember, we should get that in here. Or we may find that it doesn't accurately reflect what you thought, or you want to expound on it.
Nice.
Yeah, and I will say, it's been one thing that I've forgot to mention. So the footnotes for Appendix B are not yet. The last thing that I didn't have a chance to do was add those in there. So those ones are forthcoming. And I think there's maybe 6 or 7. So I'll wrap those in right after this meeting for a final distribution of it, or we can, approve it pending those or however we want to do it. But that, and then Appendix C, which I passed out a hard copy of, I just strictly didn't have a chance to merge it into the PDF. So only 2 items outstanding as far as I can tell.
All right.
Steven. You're on mute.
Well done.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on mute, Steven. Oh, there's no.
It looks like either you picked up a word that was missing or Sue picked it up. Did you read it over again, Sue? Okay, I need to find the word that's missing.
Sue's also on the.
Yeah.
And if anybody else finds it, we give them what?
Whoa, those
Golden
socks.
ticket?
Those
The
socks.
socks.
Sushi.
Socks, the governess sock?
Yeah.
Steven, throwing it back to you. Anything?
I wouldn't have got a fever and I would have come if I knew we were having door prizes.
Hmm.
You don't need to be present to get it.
That's right.
You don't have to be present to win. Wow. What size? Okay, so I think, folks, what we'll do is we have a little bit of time between now and turning this in if it were to be heard at not this week's select board meeting, but next select board meeting. So what I'd ask is just take a look through overnight. Peter, if you'd be so kind, distribute through Sue the Appendix B with the footnotes. And primarily what I'd suggest, folks, is focus on other than the body of the report and the appendices, just the footnotes. Everything else is going to carry over from prior discussions and information we've already received and reviewed. And then with a deadline to get back to Sue with any proposed changes tomorrow at the say tomorrow noon. If they're material, I'd suggest, a lot of work's gone into it. If you've got super minor edits for grammatical or spelling, please, yes, send them along. It just reflects poorly, unfortunately, if we miss something. Or if you have something material that you think needs to be changed, and it's reasonable to consider it will be changed before being submitted Wednesday afternoon. Along those lines, anything material would really need to be reviewed by the group, and that would require noticing and so on and so forth. So keep that in mind. Anything other than spelling and grammatical article, now that I'm thinking through it out loud, probably best held for post review and incorporation into our future discussions. And or I can make a mention of it at the presentation if it's something. So I think the bottom line is let's focus on things that clean up the edges and keep egg off our face. And other than that, let's hold off. With that, what I'd like to do is, I think that this is, as I said at the opening, 99, maybe 99.9% complete. You all have had a chance to review the draft version of the report text that was sent out. Again, minor modifications that have occurred, but very, very minor, nothing material. And I think the best approach would be to go ahead and take a vote, and we can move this forward with your approval and subject to any minor modifications the work group needs to make before its submission to the select board and the FinCom. And unless anyone has any objections, I would look for a motion to that effect, which I've just stated. So you can just say, that's my motion if you want.
So moved.
Second,
Thank you both. Barry, on your motion,
Aye.
Brooke,
aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Christie,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Peter,
I,
and I'm an aye. That concludes our report writing portion of the agenda. And Sue, when we do our next meeting, if you go ahead, please, and put ratify the vote on there. That'd probably be a good thing. Other than that, we will be focusing, we'll get a notice out when we understand the date, the presentation to the select board in case you want to attend or be on Zoom. We'll want to have noticed that meeting. And keep in mind, I know you're all looking forward to it. We've talked about a Rory work group in terms of maybe fleshing out additional criterion from the DOR, Department of Revenue Compact, into the database. We've also talked about, I believe, a database review. So what I mean by that is it crosses the line from the Rory inputs that we review in the spreadsheet to having those implemented in the database. So those are a couple of things on our plate for perhaps March. I'd like to get a poll from people at some point as to when they're going to be available. No sense, obviously, starting this thing around school breaks or maybe even before school breaks. And then that gives us a little bit of time, subject to getting feedback from finance department as to how long they'll need for the database company to make modifications such as those we've already discussed in the Rory forms. So that's just a broad stroke of what's coming up next and a sense of the timeline. And if anyone has any questions, I'll take those. If not, I would field a motion to adjourn after thanking you all for your diligence, participation, expertise in your various areas. Lack of expertise in various areas too, because it takes a lot of us to have different sets of eyes on this, bringing different perspectives, and they don't always have to be expert to be meaningful. So I want to thank you all for that. And I want to thank Sue, obviously, for her involvement and helping keeping us on a steady track forward. All that said, any questions or a motion, please? Or comments?
A motion to adjourn with gratitude to the chair as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
you're here, yeah,
Yeah, well
Thank
done.
as always.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll be by to collect my socks when I'm feeling better. All right,
Bottle of- I kicked up too.
Brooke, on your motion?
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Christie,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Peter,
I.
and I'm an aye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Stephen.
you.
Thanks.
Stephen. Feel better.
Yeah.